unfortunately. Unless I remove the wind background.
Okay, appreciate each and every one of you being here today. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. This is the Mobile Mailbox Money Mastermind, the live deal flow market, the family bank here with Mobile Mailbox Money, Silvercrest Opportunity Fund, and Win Mobile Homes. Win Mobile Homes is the largest dealer of manufactured housing in Arizona, and we seller finance homes, providing investors a collateralized lending opportunity, buying notes and cash flowing in the highest demand asset class in the nation. What is that? Affordable housing. We've done 350 transactions via seller carry finance, 2% default rate, double underwriting that the buyer borrower ends up facilitating, and have done about $15 million in niche market seller finance notes in manufactured housing. So I've got my cohorts here today, Sonny, Sean, and James Guajardo. Sonny, if you could just introduce yourself for the people that don't know you here today.
My name is Sonny Finkel, and I am the Investor Relations Specialist for Mobile Mailbox Money, and I am a Loan Compliance Coordinator for Win Mobile Homes. I have experience being a realtor and a mortgage broker in Florida. I've been in a real estate family my whole life. My dad had 200 rentals when I was little. My grandparents owned 180 acres where Disney now stands in Orlando. So they've been bifurcating land since the 60s. And I have a lot of experience in this industry, so I'm happy to help anytime.
Sonny, what are some common questions that investors ask?
I would say mostly due diligence questions, how to make sure that the note that they're buying is secure, that the borrowers are going to pay, how to vet the borrowers. And we explain how we do that in-house as well as the parks do, and just how to research, just basic research on how to make sure that their note is secure for their investment.
James, if you could just kind of introduce yourself for the people that don't know you.
Yeah, James Guajardo here, president of Win Mobile Homes and Mobile Mailbox Money. We're here to help investors earn a passive return. That's the whole premise of the program. We kind of put it all in a bow. Investors have an opportunity to invest with us in a construction loan, as well as getting first right of refusal if they're in the construction loan to the long-term note program that we actually will be talking about today. So we're pretty excited to be on today, and we talk about little different aspects of it, but we'll have notes ranging anywhere from probably as little as $35,000 and as much as $125,000.
So I just shared this across like 75 Facebook groups. We also have Sean Gibson here today. Sean, if you could just introduce yourself.
Hey, Sean Gibson here, real estate investor, but here with Mobile Mailbox Money. Been in real estate the last 15 years, raising capital, buying and selling, and really have a passion of helping our investors have those cash flow notes. So, yeah.
So today our objective is to provide further transparency and facilitate more trust. And that's why we do this weekly, provide you access to our team members here. You know, we're not just a one-man band. We're a full team, a business here providing bank quality positions with 15 in rehab, 7 in sales in our niche market dealership of manufactured housing, 5 in management, 2 in accounting and back office administration, and my cohorts as you see here today. So we appreciate each and every one of you being here. This is a first look at these homes. I think they're being approved possibly today. We talked about a few of them last week, but it's a first come, first serve component. So if you have questions, feel free to check those in the messenger here in the Zoom, or feel free to unmute your mic. But we'll kind of get started. I'm going to request to share my screen, and let's just talk about some deals. That's why we're here at the end of the day. Whoops, wrong window. Let me just orient this screen here correctly. Just so you know, we have 939 videos on YouTube, kind of a lot. So for all the curing of curiosity, feel free to check that out or follow my Facebook page at Alden Guajardo. I post a lot of videos and educational content, and that's kind of additionally how people stay involved with what we're doing. I've even got a picture of us in Sydney, Australia at the Australian Property Expo. But let's kind of dive in. Let's do it. We're here today for deals and deal flow. This is where it's at. So lot 134, Mesa, Cielo, Grande. This is a 2-bed, 2-bath, actually about 950 square feet in an institutionally owned community off the major cross streets of Ellsworth and Broadway. For those of you that aren't familiar, you got Scottsdale up here, the main higher end areas in the Arizona market. You got Tempe here as I'm circling. And Mesa is sought after for more affordability in the market. You got a lot of ease of transportation off these cross streets. So just wanted to kind of envision a little bit about where we're doing deals. We're right here in this pocket. This is the US 60 and the 202. So major cross streets right here pretty much of Ellsworth and Broadway. Okay, so this lot number 134 found on windmobilehomes.com. I actually put that URL in the message chat. So feel free to click that if you like. But let's talk about the numbers of this transaction. It looks like we may have deleted the photos possibly. But this 2-2 is pending for sale. This is at $47,900. Let me just look at my notes here real quick because I think they're putting an $8,000 down payment. So with $8,000 down at $47,900, grab your mortgage calculator out to kind of do some reverse calculations of potential what your return on investment could be of buying this note. So at $8,000 down, purchase price of $47,900, your acquisition or unpaid balance, in other words, is $39,900 at $496.16 a month for 20 years, which is a double-digit interest rate. James, what kind of rehab did we do on this property, and why is it quality collateral?
Yeah, I'll try to look up on the side additional photos because we should have a photo file on each one of these set up. But essentially on most of these properties nowadays, we're doing brand new cabinets, brand new granite, brand new laminated flooring. It's a water resistant or waterproof. We've gone through all the electrical, all the plumbing, make sure everything's working correct. So it's a completely remodeled property. So it's a great value. It's really interesting. Manufactured homes is the last market for low-cost housing. And, Phoenix, Arizona is one of the top 5 move-to markets consistently in the country. And the demand for housing is still extremely high. There's a shortage of inventory across the state for low cost and housing. And we create that opportunity for people that normally couldn't buy a home. They start looking at, essentially manufactured homes and parks. There you go. There's some photos coming up.
So here's our rehab of the property. Laminate flooring. This all waterproof laminate. You got additional square footage as it's a single wide, but they did this whole build out structure that was permitted through the park. So additional square footage, new vanities. We refinished the showers and such. It's got a nice corner lot layout. So this property has a great porch for the individual that will be buying this property, for them to facilitate enjoying the nice weather we have here in the Arizona market 6 to 7 months out of the year. They've got nice large tub, 2-bed, 2 full bath, and double vanity. We checked all the electrical and plumbing, serviced the AC unit, and sealed the roof. So this property's virtually been completely gone through, made sure that there's not any electrical issues or plumbing, extremely important in order to hedge our risk, right? At the end of the day, we want to make sure that this property is actually a quality home and that we are facilitating a risk mitigation. What's the risk mitigation in this? Well, the buyer's putting a $8,000 down payment. That's 20% down. They're basically putting and getting underwritten twice through the park with a 600 plus credit score, no past criminal, no past evictions, and verifiable income. And additionally, they go through another round of underwriting or Dodd-Frank compliance to facilitate their ability to repay, which ensures that the person's coming through, we're not just sitting down at a table and signing a document. They went through 2 rounds of underwriting. So let's kind of keep kicking here. We have lot 132 here. Let's see if our photos are popping up. Great, they are. Perfect. So lot 132 here in the Phoenix market. Let's just kind of get oriented on our Google Maps here. This South Mountain Phoenix area here in the main metropolitan areas in Arizona is right about here, South Mountain. And, you know, you got Sky Harbor up here, Tempe. We've done a tremendous amount of transactions in Chaparral Village off of these cross streets, about $2.5 million. That's about 20 homes that we've sold here in Tempe. And we're venturing further into South Mountain from the requests that we get. So this 3-bed, 2-bath happens to be in a family park. It's a double wide square footage. So we're like 1,250 square feet. And I think this is an ITIN borrower. I could be wrong, but they are paying a little bit higher of a rate because of their potential of ITIN, I believe it is. So our regular seller finance component will have a 1% pref on top of that. So let's just kind of dive in. You know, we've got new granite counters, new cabinets, tile backsplash, and about 1,250 square feet. I mean, you know, nice finishes. I'm pretty sure we painted the, you know, touched up paint that bathroom spot, but a turnkey property. This turnkey home's currently pending at, let me just make sure my numbers are correct here. $125,000. So at 125, your property value in your mortgage calculator, 125,000. They're putting, I think it's a $4,000 down payment because they have strong income to facilitate our risk mitigation. And at 125, 4,000 down, your acquisition or unpaid balance is 121,000 for a 20-year term, paying 1,000. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Give me 1 sec. Let me correct this. Their monthly payment is $1,593.32 for 20 years on an unpaid balance or principal balance of $121,000. So you buy this whole note and cash flow for 20 years at $1,593.32. As a hedge fund manager, I salivate at opportunities like that. Why? Because I can garnish capital at, say, a 1-year term for a double-digit interest rate for someone that maybe even sitting here today wanting not a 20-year term, but they'll take a less of a rate than what's yielding on the paper in exchange for an annual call of liquidity. And I arbitrage that rate. I arbitrage at less than what the yield pays on the paper and garnish a double-digit interest-bearing contract from one of my investors at a 1-year term, or they buy the whole note and they make the full yield. What does that look like, say, for a 1-year term on $121,000 on an asset just like this, as you see before us? Well, let's check it out. This would be a potential interest-only equation, so you don't need a mortgage calculator. 121,000 times your proposed interest rate divided by 12 is 1,833. So effectively, let's say I were to do that in my fund, I would be making about $593 a month on top of what I pay my investor. So skin in the game from the borrower, you got a qualified operator actually servicing and standing behind the note. And I take a loan against my loan or note, in other words, and give you a 1-year term in exchange for $1,008.33 a month for a 1-year term. And in a year from now, I say, hey, congratulations, you've been receiving your monthly payments. Would you like to auto rollover or even a call for liquidity? And how do I liquidate a position like this? Well, I come to my mastermind that we have weekly and talk to our other hedge funds and private IRA investors who have capital either, sitting looking for lazy returns, and provide liquidity to that transaction. And this note, actually, I believe we have a verbal commitment on for $121,000 from an investor who wants to buy that whole note and leverage with their relationships. And I think, I forget which individual was on here that was actually kind of inquiring about opportunities like that. It may have been Catherine or one of the other ladies, or I think Angela possibly. But for someone who raises capital, this is literally a golden nugget right here. You know, we have actually Rodney Madison on here who's bought a few of our notes and leveraged with his investors. So for a note like this, that's a little bit higher than what we regularly originate at, still with risk mitigation, you could take this position and propose it to your investor for a collateralized lending opportunity. Just as I said here, for $121,000, you give them, your investor, $1,833 a month, and you, the arbitraging equation via hypothecation, you're pledging your note, or just really the note that you found through your expertise, and pledge that position to your investor, and you arbitrage the rate effectively. So that's called hypothecation. It means to pledge an asset in order to garnish capital investment. So that's like three little nuggets right there for people looking to additionally capitalize on the market, but may not have the $121,000. You know, oh, I've got Uncle John who just sold his business and has, you know, $5 million and is looking for a return. He's tired of the stock market volatility. He's worried about the market. You know, the safest position to be is at the top of the capital stack. What does that mean? That means a first lien position in a performing asset is literal gold out in the marketplace right now. So that's one of the deals that we have going on. Let me just continue, reorient my screen a little bit, kind of getting lost. 132, we are here at lot 30. And I'm just going to pump the brakes here real quick. Does anyone have any questions, due diligence, you know, concern, or any of the above? Feel free to put your questions in the chat on Zoom as well. Let's see if I can just make sure we don't have any questions. And we'll continue on here. Sonny, if you could maybe monitor that, that would be great.
That's what I'm doing.
Great. Perfect. Let's keep her rolling here. Lot 30, Brentwood West. Brentwood West is one of the nicest mobile home parks here in the Arizona market. They have water features. Let me see if I can just find this real quick. Bear with me here. It's worth a view because most people think that mobile home parks are trash. I beg to differ. This is a gated community with nice pool, you know, actually dual gates. And off to the right here, you can't actually see in this video, but they have ponds. They have nice ponds here in the park, walking paths, real grass inside the community, you know, little doggy areas. So very neighborhood feel style environment, almost like a Florida feel, but here in the Arizona market. So we're talking about lot 30 here. Let's click through the photos and run through the numbers. This is a double wide manufactured home and it's ground set, so allows easier access for our handicapped individuals that will inadvertently age into a potential walker or something of that nature. This being in a 55 and older community, that really helps. So at like 1150 square feet, lot 30 is currently pending at $75,000. So we got full asking in exchange for providing a seller finance transaction. And it looks like these are just a little outdated because we didn't have the finished kitchen sink, but these have been finished since then. And we should receive an approval, I think today, not only for this property, but 134, lot 132, and here Brentwood West, lot 30. So this 2-bed, 2 full bath with actually a built-out Arizona room is currently pending at $75,000. What kind of down payment is this buyer borrower coming to the table with? Let me look at my notes here. They're putting a $4,000 down payment, getting qualified. Hopefully we get an approval today at 75,000 on your mortgage calculator, 4,000 down. Your unpaid balance or acquisition cost is $71,000. So for $71,000 and a 20-year term, this investor could participate in a monthly payment of $934.92. And that's for a 20-year term. If you have a mortgage calculator and you click on the summary button on the right-hand side of your Carl's mortgage calculator, this is where people's eyes kind of start to explode as they look at their phone. Why is that? Have you seen a fully amortized total interest earned over a 20-year term on a note just like this? Over 20 years, the total interest earned is $153,380.94. The total payments this buyer borrower paid was $225, just shy of $225,000 over 20 years. You doubled your money with an acquisition like this if you buy the whole note, or we pledge it, or really I could absorb it into my fund, which I had failed to talk about yet today. Today is actually brought to you by Silvercrest Opportunity Fund. It's our accredited investor fund where we provide a per unit owner share in my portfolio in exchange for a 10% return for a 1-year term, 12% return for a 3-year term, or 14% return for a 5-year term. And that's pending accreditation. An investor must hit $1 million in net worth, excluding their personal residence, $200,000 a year singular, or I think it's $300,000 a year with their spouse. So that provides an investor the safety, security, and stability of basically putting your money in a bank account, but you're tripling actually your income in the same low risk investment strategy that the banks use. You know, they lend in order to facilitate further stability within their programs. They extend credit, but we use OPM. We use your capital and we finance these homes and stand behind it within the fund. That's the case unique situation of a fund investment at no cost to the investor. If this note goes non-performing, we actually reperform that asset and guarantee the payments, which is sort of same within hypothecation. So you took a 1-year term for $71,000 right here, and you're getting paid for a 1-year term, $71,000. Whoops. Bear with me here. $591 a month. So if I hypothecate this note via Win Mobile Homes, pledge this position in order to garnish capital investment, one investor, one note, and you get your lien position on lot 30 for $71,591.66. If for whatever reason in a hypothecated note, this single note goes non-performing, it's somewhat of the same strategy. We continue making the payments. In most cases, we don't even let the investor know that it went non-performing because they're really just looking for their passive rate of return. We repossess the unit, reestablish the home turnkey out on the market, and then reseller finance all over again. You know, we've done upwards of 400 transactions, about 350 here in the Arizona market. So strong confidence in reperforming a home just like this. Let's continue on. We're going to go over one more here and then we'll open it up for any questions, and we'll go over a few more as well. So this property we actually bought and beat, I think it was 4 other people that were applying for this home. How did we beat them to buy this? Well, we have strong institutional connections. For one in particular, Roots Management and Treehouse Group. They're one of the largest entities that buy mobile home parks, and we happen to be in good graces with their Vice President of Sales and Marketing, Daniel Rocho. So shout out to Daniel. He's kind of watching our stuff here and there. So appreciate the trust for us to buy this home. So we bought it. We bought it at, I think, $45,000. These replacement value of a 2.2 brand new in the Glendale market's $175,000. The sellers, the community, actually lost probably $100,000 selling us these properties. and just kind of worked out. Why? Because they know we're going to provide someone that comes in and buys this property for a long-term component. We're providing the financing, getting them pre-approved, and all the above. So this is a brand new, never been lived in, year 2023 double wide in a family park off the major cross streets in Glendale. Here in right about here. You got Peoria over here, the Glendale market, Tempe here, South Mountain, Scottsdale, Mesa. So we've gone from right to left across the 60 pretty much, and the major metropolitan areas of Arizona. So let's talk about it. This year, 2023, is a 2-2, never been lived in. You got brand new stuff literally throughout the entire house. And the home actually came with a manufacturer's warranty because it's never been lived in. So, all the appliances are included. This buyer borrower is paying full price. Let's get to the master here. Decent sized bedrooms for a manufactured home, taller ceilings, kind of, similar in newer homes. Got your master here. So they're paying, currently pending, lot 216 at 97.5. So I'm going to grab my Carl's mortgage calculator. At 97.5 for a 20-year term. They're paying a little bit higher of a rate because I think they're a ITIN component. For a 20-year term, $4,000 down, $97.5 property value. Your unpaid balance or acquisition fee is $93.5 in exchange for a 20-year payment at $1,231.20. So over $12,000, $14,000 a year in passive income with no bank. You're the bank. You facilitated the financing, took a first lien position in exchange for collateral, a promissory note, and your lien position recorded on title if we do it before this closes. These homes will be approved. Hopefully, cross your fingers here today. We just went over like 3 or 4. That's about close to $500,000 in transactions. Does anyone have any questions about these homes? Remember this.
Alden, Sean here.
Go ahead, Sean.
Hey, Alden, Sean here. Not about these homes, but I've got 2 questions from the Canadian investors, if you don't mind.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So one is obviously we're in Phoenix, Arizona, and a lot of our clients are ITN. So they're kind of concerned about the immigration issue. How do we handle that in a certain sense?
The reality is there's other institutions that are lending in ITIN. 21st Mortgage is the largest lender in manufactured housing in the nation, and they're still providing ITIN financing. The communities themselves are still accepting ITIN. And the reality is that as long as they don't get deported, that means that they have that many less options to go non-performing. So they're going to do whatever they can to continue their flag that they've planted to facilitate housing here in the Valley, especially putting a down payment. To me, that just seems like that much stronger of a buyer borrower. They're going to do whatever it takes to stay in that property. We take it into account of where they're working, what kind of job they have and what kind of exposure they may have to the potential of, say, ICE or whoever it may be raiding the Amazon warehouse or, larger restaurant chains. Those are stuff that we take into account. And, most of them are self-employed, own their businesses, and are filing taxes. Those are the major benchmarks for us to make sure that we're mitigating our risk. The values of these properties and locations will hold given our niche market expertise over the past couple years. In our professional opinion, over the past 8 years, these are the strongest neighborhoods and the buyers getting qualified, as well as in ITIN components, the larger lenders are still offering ITIN financing. And when they stop, that will be another conversation to be had. Do we require more down payment from these individuals? How do we additionally mitigate at that time? Currently, we still deem it a successful and risk mitigated program. Sean, is there another question that somebody asked?
Yeah, these are from a Canadian group as well too. So they bought 2 mobile homes and a park in Scottsdale, and of course they're in Canada, and that mobile home park was actually sold. So their concern is, okay, if we buy another one and it's sold in Canada, what do we do with those units? We've got to move them. So how do we address that if we buy another manufactured home in a park? Will the park be sold again?
So there's been 2, maybe 3 RV mobile home parks in the valley that lost their lease. Why'd they lose their lease? They lost their lease because they were on Indian reservation land. So, knowing who owns the property, are they in it to buy it and long-term own a mobile home park, or is there additional return on investment for redeveloping the lot? These communities are trading at a 5%, 4%, 6% cap rate. So if an institution like BlackRock, Vanguard, or State Street is buying a 6% cap rate community, in my mind, they're going to do whatever they can to make it still a mobile home park, because they're paying low return on investment in the want for the main strategy. If they were to pay a high barometer for these parks and then still take the brunt of redeveloping the community, to me, that doesn't seem like a savvy investment strategy from the eyes of an institution. There's not a whole lot of reservation land here in the valley, and that could happen if it was on reservation land. These communities that we work in are institutionally owned by CalAm Properties, Kingsley Management, Equity Lifestyle Solutions, and a couple other, Treehouse, Roots Management. Those are all players in establishing a safe and stable investment in mobile home parks. Those 2 investors lost out on opportunity because the community lost the lease. These communities that we work in are on owned land. They own the land outright. And even if they do sell that property, the new buyer is paying such a high fee in the want for the cash flow of a mobile home park investment strategy. James, did you have something to add there?
I missed the question. I had to step away, but I think you alluded to Indian-owned land and institutional buyers. And I think you hit it right on the nail as I sat down and was listening to that, is that the institutions are going to be here well past our lifetime for investment. They're amortizing, or they're facilitating like 50 and 100-year investment options. So they have no interest in converting mobile home parks to anything else because they're such a great cash flow opportunity. They can get a better cash flow just by keeping them where they are in comparison to doing a redevelopment strategy.
So there's 2, 3 parks in all of Arizona that lost their lease. That's it. Those people bought in the wrong parks. It's a travesty. I'm sure that, they're kind of bleeding a little bit. We're looking for used properties to move to our lot up in northern Arizona. So, if they have homes that are newer than 1980, 1990, we'd be interested in possibly helping them exit those positions. But all great topics of conversation. Sean, did you have any other questions today?
No, I think that's it. To let you know, they're the biggest Canadian real estate investment group that invests in the U.S. and they own about 1,000 units. And you'll be on a podcast with them next week. So thanks for the answers.
Okay, great. So let's keep her rolling. Let's open up another couple deals. Hate to keep y'all too long today. So our Log Haven properties, we've been profiling these for the past couple weeks. We actually raised every dollar to buy these homes, upwards of $250,000 to buy 12 brand new 2-bed, 1-bath homes. We bought them for $25,000 out of pocket, and the replacement cost of these homes is about $75,000. So we bought at $50,000 below market value and still have the availability and margin to sell these at a profit, still under market value. These properties can be bought and rented. In most parks, you can't rent the homes out. Well, with our relationship with the community, they're allowing us to do so. What does that mean? That means you can actually buy these homes, maybe a few, maybe one, and rent them out and do a long-term rental strategy. Maybe you're looking for some depreciation within your portfolio. James, what can a property like this rent out for?
So the market area for that brand new property is about $1,500 a month. We just put them up on the market for rent because we think it's going to be a long-term investment strategy and putting a higher focus on that than just selling them out. The cool part is it's a brand new home. That's the super win on the properties, and you rarely get a chance to get into a property like this on an investment strategy well underneath what the replacement cost is. So we're pretty excited about that. It's a gated community, 55 and older park, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, each one of them. They're all pretty much the same. And we have up to 12 available. So an investor could earn at $1,500 a month. I think it's like a 12. Yeah, they could have a great return. Essentially, it's a 15. No, it's I think it's $600 a month times 12 is $7,200 approximately net income that they would get per month and annualized
on a $49,000 purchase, right? So little to no maintenance needed on properties like this. Why? Because they're brand new, all major benefits. These properties are currently for sale right now. We've had a few people close to buying these on seller finance. You could potentially buy it and seller finance it yourself if you were wanting, but definite areas of opportunity, 12 of these bad boys in the Glendale market, kind of by where I was mentioning here. We have, I think it's 30 homes off of these cross streets here in the Glendale market, off of the 60 here, and lots of shopping in the area. Desirability is up for people in transportation. It's a transportation hub, a lot of trucking and manufacturing in this area. You got your Home Depot and grocery stores, all things people want to live by. So that's Long Haven Estates. Lastly, we'll talk about Desert Dawn. Desert Dawn is a manufactured home that we bought from a contact of mine in Arizona Real Estate Investors Association. This is owned land. Don't get too many of these, so this should go quickly now that we have a performing renter. So the renter is paying how much, James?
Desert Dawn is paying $2,500 a month.
We're getting
on a 5-year lease. They actually ultimately want to have an option to buy down the road, but they're cash flowing right now $2,500 a month.
And these photos are a little outdated, but currently
those aren't the finished photos.
Yeah. So, we did a rehab on this property, new flooring, new paint, but this is not even a bad condition as we bought it pre-rehab. And I think we'll roll into the photos of the finished photos, but this property is worth $200,000. I bought it for $100,000, and the renter was looking at it at a price of, I think, like $185,000, $190,000 potentially, but we decided to go to a long-term rental component for a 5-year term. So performing, rented, currently immediately available for an investor. How does an investor invest in a loan like this? Well, we pledge our first lien position. We'll give you a first lien for, say, $150,000. For $150,000 on a $200,000 property is, that's 75% of value on a performing asset. $150,000. What kind of monthly payment can I get for my first lien position on this performing asset? Well, for a monthly payment of $1,250 a month, and I'm still cash flowing. Oh, I think James may have a bad connection, but for $150,000 at 75% of value for $1,250 a month for a 1-year term, how much money am I making?
Is
James is. I'm gonna mute him real quick. So for $150,000 for a 1-year term at $1,250 a month. And in a year from now, I congratulate you and congratulate myself because we both made the same monthly payment, right? As I performed this asset. And we have a cushion as Win Mobile Homes at another $1,250 a month. So you're making $1,250, I'm making $1,250. You're at 75% of value on a first lien position for a 1-year term on a 5-year pro forma rented asset with the largest dealer of manufactured housing. Most people, kind of talk, hey, I'm not so much a fan of personal property. I want real estate. I want a MLS asset, at the end of the day. Here it is right here in a pro forma condition off major cross streets of Ellsworth and Broadway. The HOA in this park's like $40 a month or something crazy. So, super cheap. We're getting a huge fee and they want to be there long term. So for $150,000, that's a first lien at $1,250 a month for a 1-year term. And we could potentially absorb that asset into my fund, depending on, what that looks like. So does anyone have any questions today? We're opened up again. If you haven't had the chance to do so, I put our websites within the chat box, and that's winmobilehomes.com, the D8 dealer of manufactured housing. You can go and surf the 50 to 75 homes, maybe up to 100 now that I think about it, of homes that are for sale on the market. We take listings, so they're not all homes that we own. We, Win Mobile Homes, have about 50 homes in inventory right now that we've bought and are in various stages of resale and rehab, and even about 5, 6, 7 homes in escrow right now. A lot of people are wondering about what the market's doing. Are people still buying houses? We're doing transactions right now. It was a little slow at the end of the summer and starting of the winter period, but people are peeking their heads out right now, and 55 and older as well as all age. And it's important to understand, there is an element of seasonality in 55 and older, but family parks sell year round, so we have a wide variety of 55 and older as well as family homes available. So we actually came up last week from Arizona Real Estate Investors Association. If you follow my Facebook, you'll see that I did a little video actually announcing with Mike Del Prete, the executive director of Arizona Real Estate Investors Association, of our formal sponsorship and corporate partnership with Azria and Mike Del Prete. Mike's actually running for city council. So a warm room that we got being built here with our staff, our niche market expertise, and now our adjacents branding, not only with Azria, but also Business Network International. With these 3-4 homes that are pending right now that actually are being sold by one of my agents who I hired from Business Network International, with these 3 transactions, we'll cross how much? $3 million in business being transacted specifically from one relationship. That's Business Network International. And that's been a 4-year run. So us being entrenched in the local market with other established business professionals and showing face at the end of the day. We're not just behind a camera. We're out in the market. We have adjacents branding with Azria, Business Network International. We've been to every major national note investment conference, from Diversified Mortgage Expo, the Note Expo, Paper Source, Paper Trail, IRA conferences from Directed IRA, like the Alt Asset Summit, the IRA Summit, and a few others that I'm even failing to mention, as well as the other industry experts that we've even had on this channel. Every Thursday at 1 o'clock Arizona time, from Patrick Franz to Desi Arnaz of the Note Investor University to Fred and Tracy Rui from the noteinvestor.com, Kevin Shortell, Eddie Speed, Mark Monroe, Mike Del Prete, Nate Hare from Directed IRA. The list goes on of industry experts and magnates that have actually been on our channel and graced us with their presence and show that we trust the people that we do business with. For them to be on our channel, hopefully that provides you further transparency, further trust. And why do we want to facilitate that? Because people do business with the individuals they know, like, and trust. You can have the greatest investment strategy in the nation, but if people can't trust you, you're dead in the water. So does anyone have any final thoughts, concerns? Need a bad joke today? We had some great interaction in the chat, a couple hearts going off, a couple thumbs up going off. Sean came with a few commonly asked questions. There's no stupid questions at the end of the day. This is an investment, and we need to do all we can to mitigate the risk within that transaction. So just want to remind you, today is brought to you by Silvercrest Opportunity Fund. Invest accredited 506C and start earning interest as 10% paid monthly for a 1-year term, 12% paid quarterly for a 3-year term, or 14% paid monthly for a 5-year lockup. And that's what Silvercrest Opportunity Fund, industry magnates and experts here every week, Thursday, 1 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. And we'll kind of leave you off. We're a little bit early today, but we went over a lot of notes, a lot of transactions that we're doing. We'll do upwards of 75 notes this year in manufactured housing in the #1 highest demand asset in the nation. What is that? Affordable housing. And if you put your nose up at personal property or don't understand the stability of these transactions, you're really doing yourself a disservice at the end of the day. This is a Warren Buffett investment strategy. Warren Buffett owns Clayton Cavco and 21st Mortgage, as well as Yes Communities, and he probably owns a warranty and insurance company for all I know. So, don't take my word for it. Take it from Warren Buffett. We appreciate each and every one of you being here today. Don't hesitate to call us now at 602-888-2274. Sonny, if you could drop that in the chat here today, because we're looking for funding. I'm looking for funding right now to do these deals. $300,000. I can get you into a deal today. So I got some hearts going off. I think that rung a bell. Got a thumbs up going. We appreciate you being here today. We'll see y'all next week. And that's one step closer to financial freedom. What do we call that? Mobile mailbox money. Appreciate you.
Good job there.
So boom, that's how we do it with mobile mailbox money, Silvercrest Opportunity Fund, and Win Mobile Homes. Let's see if I can get this back. If you didn't see something that you like today, please don't hesitate to reach out, 602-888-2274.